Look at the water. It's already there. It's been there for hours. Not moving, not breathing hard, not doubting itself. Just waiting. With the patience of something that has outlasted nearly every creature that ever walked, swam, or flew on this planet. That zebra at the water's edge has no idea. Because what's beneath that surface has spent 100 million years perfecting one single skill above all others, the ambush. And in about 30 seconds, that river is going to explode. To understand why the crocodile is the most perfectly designed ambush predator on Earth, you first have to understand what it actually is. Not just an animal, not just a reptile. A living masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, one that nature itself has refused to improve upon for over 200 million years. The Nile crocodile, Crocodilus niloticus, is the largest freshwater predator on the African continent. Adult males regularly reach 16 to 18 feet in length and tip the scales at over 1,100 pounds. The largest confirmed specimen on record, documented by wildlife researchers in Uganda, stretched past 21 feet. To put that in American terms, longer than a full-size pickup truck. Heavier than a grand piano times 5. But size is not the story. Design is the story. Every single part of this animal exists for one ruthless purpose: to close the distance before the prey ever knows the threat is real. Look at that body. Low. Flat. Hydrodynamic. A crocodile moving through water creates almost no surface disturbance at all. Its legs fold flush against its sides. Its tail sweeps in long, slow, nearly invisible strokes. It can cover 20 feet of open water in under a second, silent as a shadow, and faster than human reaction time can process. And those eyes, set on the very top of the skull, so the crocodile can submerge every inch of its body, over 1,500 pounds of muscle, bone, and teeth, while keeping just its eyes and nostrils above the waterline. According to National Geographic, to an untrained eye on the far bank, a lurking Nile crocodile looks like nothing more than a floating log. That is not coincidence. That is 200 million years of ruthless refinement. Evolution looked at this animal and said, "This works. Don't change a thing." The crocodilian lineage survived the asteroid impact that wiped out 75% of all life on Earth 66 million years ago. It survived ice ages, continental drift, mass extinctions that erased entire classes of animals from the fossil record. Today, according to the IUCN Red List, 27 recognized crocodilian species inhabit tropical regions across Africa, Asia, the Americas, and Australia. But none among them, not the gharial, not the saltwater giant of the Pacific, has built a more fearsome reputation as an ambush hunter than the Nile crocodile. This animal doesn't just hunt, it plans. And nowhere on Earth is that more terrifyingly on display than at the great river crossings of East Africa. Every year, nearly 2 million wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle complete the Great Migration across the Serengeti ecosystem, the largest overland movement of mammals on the planet. And every year at the Mara River they must cross. The crocodiles know this. Research published in the journal Behavioral Ecology has documented crocodiles repositioning themselves within river systems days before major herds arrive, as if they are reading the landscape, reading the season, reading patterns laid down across countless generations. Whether this is deep instinct or something closer to anticipatory learning, science is still working to understand. But the result is always the same. By the time the first hoof touches the water, the crocodiles are already waiting in formation. Watch the minutes before the strike. This is where the ambush predator shows you exactly what it is. The crocodile does not rush. It does not surface. It does not betray a single intention. Instead, it drifts. Using micro-movements of its tail and feet, reading the current, it closes the gap between itself and its target in a slow, invisible reduction of distance that scientists call the low-profile approach. The animal becomes indistinguishable from the river itself, a current, a shadow, a depth in the water. And while it closes that gap, Every sense it possesses is running at full capacity. Those small raised nodules covering a crocodile's face and jaw are called dermal pressure receptors, DPRs. According to research from the University of Maryland, published and widely cited in Scientific American, these organs detect pressure changes, ripples, and vibrations moving through water with a sensitivity that rivals the lateral line system of fish. A crocodile can feel a single water droplet disturbing the surface from several feet away. It doesn't need a clear sightline. It doesn't need to hear its prey over the noise of the crossing. It feels every hoof strike, every displaced wave, every shift in current caused by a body moving through the water. It is hunting through information that human senses cannot access. Add to that, eyes built with a tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer behind the retina that amplifies available light. In near darkness, the crocodile sees with startling precision. At dawn, at dusk, in murky water, on a moonless night, it sees you long before you know it's there. And the nostrils, positioned at the tip of the elevated snout, can detect blood diluted in water and scent large animals approaching the bank before they have taken their first step into the river. Sight, touch, smell. All operating simultaneously, all feeding into a brain that has been solving this exact problem, how to kill large prey in water, for longer than our species has existed. The herd is in the river now. The noise is overwhelming. And that chaos, the panic, the splashing, the animals colliding, it helps the crocodile. In chaos, no individual animal is watching for a specific threat. Every zebra is focused on the current, on the animal ahead, on the far bank. The crocodile uses that confusion the way a hunter uses tall grass. Then one zebra separates, slightly, fatally, from the body of the herd. Maybe it stumbles. Maybe it's slower. Maybe it has simply drifted into the exact position the crocodile has been calculating toward for the past 30 minutes. The water explodes. High-speed camera analysis from Florida State University has clocked a crocodile's full strike, from stillness to locked bite, at under 50 milliseconds, faster than a human blink. The jaws slam shut at approximately 3,700 pounds per square inch, the highest measured bite force of any living animal on Earth, according to the Landmark +1 study led by Dr. Gregory Erickson at Florida State University. For context, a lion bites at roughly 650 psi. A hyena, famous for crushing bone, at around 1,100. The crocodile doesn't just outperform every other predator in Africa. It outperforms them by a factor that makes comparison almost meaningless. And yet, it cannot chew. All 66 of those interlocking conical teeth are built for one thing only: grip. Once the jaws close, the prey is held, and then comes the technique that ends the struggle. The death roll. The crocodile locks on and rotates, rapidly, powerfully, along its own lengthwise axis. Research from the Journal of Experimental Biology has calculated the torque a large crocodile generates in a full death roll as sufficient to dismember limbs and cause catastrophic skeletal trauma within the first few rotations. Prey animals, even large ones, lose orientation, structural integrity, and the ability to resist within seconds. The crocodile is not being cruel. It is solving an engineering problem with the efficiency of something that has been refining the solution for 200 million years. How do you subdue an animal larger than you can swallow? You reduce it to manageable pieces. Systematically. Decisively. The zebra does not survive. The Mara River surface closes back over itself. The herd completes its crossing or retreats to the bank. The crocodiles feed, and then the river goes still, as if none of it happened. That is the ambush, patient over hours, executed in milliseconds, the most perfected killing sequence in the natural world. But here is where most people's understanding of this animal stops, and where the real story begins, because the crocodile is not simply a killing machine. Its biology, what it does between hunts, how it maintains itself, how it reproduces, and how it has sustained itself across geological time, is as remarkable as any strike sequence. Start here. How often does this animal actually need to eat? A large adult Nile crocodile can survive on as few as 50 meals a year. Wildlife ecologists studying populations in sub-Saharan Africa have documented adults going 6 months or longer without significant food intake. According to Dr. Adam Britton of Charles Darwin University, one of the world's leading crocodilian researchers, the crocodile's metabolism operates at an efficiency that no warm-blooded predator can approach. A single large meal can sustain the animal for weeks, sometimes months. Compare that to a lion, which needs to eat every few days, a pack of wolves making kills almost daily. The crocodile eats, then its body downshifts, heart rate falling, digestion slowing, energy expenditure dropping toward a near-inert baseline. It waits. And in waiting, it survives conditions that would starve any other large predator to death. This metabolic engine is what carried crocodilians through the mass extinctions. When the world went dark after the asteroid, food chains collapsed globally. The crocodilian simply slowed down and endured. While the dinosaurs vanished, the crocodile waited. Look at the armor. Those reinforced plates along the back and tail are called osteoderms, bony deposits embedded directly inside the skin. Not simply thick scales, actual calcified bone woven into the hide. Interlocked and layered, they form a natural armor that National Geographic researchers have described as capable of deflecting lion claws, hippo teeth, and in some documented cases, lower-caliber projectiles. And yet, that same skin is among the most sensitive in the animal kingdom. Those dermal pressure receptors cover the entire body, not just the face. The same hide that stops a claw can feel a single raindrop strike the water 6 feet away. Crocodiles are ectotherms. They manage body temperature through behavior rather than internal metabolism. Cold morning? You'll find them basking with mouths wide open, a behavior called gaping, allowing the highly vascularized tissue of the mouth cavity to exchange heat with the air. Afternoon heat building? They slide back into the river, which holds temperature more stably than the exposed bank. They are constantly, deliberately managing their thermal environment with a behavioral precision that represents millions of years of refinement. Internally, the crocodile conceals further surprises. It possesses a true 4-chambered heart, an architecture shared by mammals and birds, but rare among reptiles, that allows precise blood flow management during extended dives. Large adults have been documented submerged for up to 2 hours. Research published in the journal Science identified a molecular adaptation in crocodilian hemoglobin, their oxygen-carrying blood protein, that releases oxygen to muscle tissue with exceptional efficiency even under high lactic acid conditions. After a violent death roll, after a prolonged underwater struggle, the crocodile's physiology manages the recovery in ways that mammalian biology simply cannot replicate. And its immune system. Wildlife researchers have long noted that crocodiles sustain severe injuries in territorial fights, deep lacerations, lost limbs, puncture wounds, and recover with a speed that baffles veterinary science. Studies from the United States and Australia, published in Nature and Scientific American, identified powerful antimicrobial peptides in crocodilian blood, proteins that disrupt bacterial cell walls across a broad spectrum of pathogens, including strains of MRSA that have defeated modern. Antibiotics. Multiple pharmaceutical research programs are actively investigating crocodilian blood chemistry as a potential source for next-generation antibiotic compounds. An animal that has been hunting rivers since before the first flower bloomed on Earth may hold the key to one of 21st century medicine's most urgent problems. Now, the part that will genuinely surprise you. The crocodile, this armored, ambushing, bone-crushing apex predator, is also one of the most devoted parents in the reptile world. When a female Nile crocodile is ready to nest, she chooses her site with deliberate care. Elevated ground, away from flood risk. Soil with the right composition for stable incubation temperature. She excavates the nest chamber herself, all 600 pounds of her, and lays between 25 and 80 eggs. Then she covers the clutch. And she stays. For 3 months. Through heat. Through the rains, through monitor lizards, honey badgers, and rival crocodiles that would raid her nest given any opportunity. She does not eat. She barely moves. The same animal that exploded from beneath the surface of the Mara River to take a 500-pound zebra sits motionless for 90 days, standing guard over eggs she has never seen hatch. When hatching begins, the young call out from inside the shell, high, urgent chirps that carry through the soil. The mother digs them free immediately. And then she does something that stops wildlife researchers in their tracks every time they witness it. She picks the hatchlings up in her mouth, the mouth capable of 3,700 pounds per square inch of force, and she carries them to the water with a gentleness so complete, so precise, that not a single hatchling is harmed. She will continue guarding them, actively, aggressively, for up to 2 years. She will charge animals far larger than herself to protect them. She will charge humans. Research from the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute, published in the journal Copia, has documented something even more remarkable. Female crocodiles in some populations forming communal nurseries, with multiple mothers cooperatively guarding combined clutches of young. Cooperative parenting. In a reptile. In an animal whose lineage predates the first mammal by more than 100 million years. The simplistic story, cold-blooded killing machine, no emotions, pure instinct, does not survive contact with what this animal actually does. Within its river ecosystem, the Nile crocodile does not operate unchallenged. The hippopotamus, Africa's other river giant, is the crocodile's most formidable neighbor. Adult hippos reach 3,000 to 4,000 pounds and carry the strongest bite force of any land mammal, over 1,800 psi. They are not prey. They are a competing power. Encounters between large crocodiles and protective hippo bulls or mothers are among the most violent events in African wildlife. The two species maintain an uneasy, boundary-defined coexistence in most shared waterways, each understanding, through repeated interaction, where the other's tolerance ends. On land, lions and hyenas will opportunistically take juvenile crocodiles, but a fully grown adult on land is neither slow nor defenseless. Using a high walk gait that lifts its body fully off the ground, a large Nile crocodile can burst to 9 miles per hour in short sprints, fast enough to close on a human who has misjudged their safe distance from the bank. In the water, however, nothing competes with a fully mature Nile crocodile. Nothing challenges it. Nothing displaces it. It is the absolute, unchallenged apex of its aquatic domain. And that dominance matters beyond the individual animal. Conservation biologists classify the crocodile as a keystone species, one whose influence on its ecosystem is disproportionate to its raw numbers. Crocodiles cull weak and injured individuals from prey populations at river crossings, maintaining the genetic health of wildebeest and zebra herds across generations. Their nesting activity aerates and enriches riverbank soil. Their territorial behavior distributes prey species across wider geographic areas, preventing the overgrazing of any single water source. Their carcasses, when they die, often after 70 to 100 years of life, deliver massive nutrient pulses into river food webs. Remove the crocodile, as has happened in river systems depleted by hunting, and the ecological consequences cascade for decades. Fish populations spike and then crash. Vegetation suffers. Prey species concentrate destructively around fewer water sources. The river, measurably, becomes less alive. The crocodile is not just the predator of the river. It is the river's architect, the engineer of its own ecosystem. Now for the part that demands honesty. The Nile crocodile kills people. According to the Ayucan Crocodile Specialist Group, it is responsible for an estimated 1,000 or more human fatalities annually across sub-Saharan Africa, the highest human mortality rate of any large predator on the continent. More than lions, more than leopards, more than Cape buffalo, but context matters enormously here. The overwhelming majority of these attacks occur not in wildlife reserves or tourist zones, but in rural communities where people have no choice but to use the same rivers that crocodiles inhabit. In Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, families fish, wash, collect water, and cross these waterways because there is no alternative infrastructure. The collision is not between wildlife and recreation. It is between wildlife and poverty. Between an animal that has patrolled these rivers for millions of years and human communities for whom the river is survival. That context does not make the deaths less tragic, but it is essential to any honest conversation about conservation. The crocodile itself has endured its own near extinction at human hands. Through the mid-20th century, commercial hunting for crocodile skin, prized in luxury leather markets from Paris to New York, drove Nile crocodile populations to collapse across Africa. By the 1970s, numbers in many river systems had fallen by 90% or more. The international response through CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, imposed trade restrictions beginning in the 1970s. National conservation programs followed. And the recovery has been genuine. The IUCN today lists the Nile crocodile as least concern, no longer facing species-level extinction risk, with robust populations in protected areas including the Okavango Delta, Lake Turkana, the Nile Valley, and Kruger National Park. But recovered populations mean renewed human-wildlife conflict in communities that share those rivers. The balance between conservation success and community safety is the river goes quiet. It always does. The chaos of the crossing, the thunder, the spray, the struggle, settles back into the Mara's slow, ancient rhythm. On the bank, barely distinguishable from the rocks and the mud around it, the crocodile lies still. It will not hunt again today. Possibly not for weeks. Its metabolism is already cycling down, digesting, storing, conserving, doing what this animal has been doing since before the first mammal drew breath on Earth. Here is what the crocodile has that almost nothing else in the natural world possesses: the patience of something that knows, at a level deeper than thought, that the river always delivers, that the herd always comes back. That endurance outlasts urgency every single time. It doesn't chase. It doesn't exhaust itself. It positions itself perfectly, waits with absolute commitment, and acts at the one precise moment when acting is enough. Scientists studying its blood may unlock new weapons against antibiotic-resistant infections that threaten millions of human lives. Engineers studying its skin are developing pressure sensors that could transform robotics and prosthetics. Cardiologists studying its heart are rethinking how we manage oxygen deprivation in surgical patients. And conservationists, alongside the communities who live with it daily, are learning, the hard way and the necessary way, that an animal this embedded in the ecology of an entire continent cannot simply be removed from the equation. The crocodile does not need our admiration. It was here before our species existed. On geological time, it will almost certainly outlast us. But every river that still carries a living crocodile is, measurably, a healthier river. A more complete ecosystem. A reminder that the ancient wild, in all its terrifying, precise, patient complexity, is still out there, still waiting, still watching. The crocodile opens one eye. The river carries on. And somewhere upstream another herd is already moving toward the crossing.